This is Ned's NRL Unpopular Opinions with Jharal Yow-Yeh, Oscar Pannifex, Liam Fogarty, and Ryan Cook.
G'day punters, welcome to another episode of Ned's NRL Unpopular Opinions. Some say footy games are easy to predict, but after an extended round one full of upsets, I think most of us here are licking our wounds.
Who said that?
When it comes to tips. Funny man Fogs, the king of Palm, decided he didn't want to be around anymore. He's off in Melbourne shooting some AFL content, would you believe, fellas?
Some what?
AFL content, I know.
That is ridiculous, ludicrous.
Blasphemy. Alas, joining me like always is one of the game's best wordsmiths. It's rugby league writer's very own Oscar Pannifex. He's a little bit hobbled today.
Oh, yeah. 30-year-old me still trying to play social sport on a weeknight. But no, happy to be here. Happy to, keen to talk some footage. It was full of upsets last weekend.
Oh, it was, wasn't it?
This competition's looking every bit like the tightest comp that we've seen in many years. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Plenty to dive into. And to my right today, it's a little bit different. He's up and about off a big win as coach of West Arana Panthers. But more importantly, he's had a bit of a sweaty morning watching Arsenal get up in penalties in the round of 16 in the UEFA Champions League. It's Jharal Yow-Yeh.
Yeah, look, for a person who has several jobs leading towards talking, my voice is struggling after
Bit
the
hoarse
weekend.
today.
Very hoarse after the weekend. Not yelling in bad ways while watching the West Arana Panthers, in good ways, and then having to deal with that this morning, getting through the first time of the quarterfinals for the Gooners since 2010. It's been a very stressful couple of days, boys, but we're back in here.
Though. You seem...
Well, look, I had to do a wardrobe change. I had everything Arsenal on before I got here, and I thought I better not be a dickhead. I better get changed into some normal kit for the NRL Unpopular Opinion podcast.
You've toned it down. Very good. All right, boys, it's that time of year where overreactions are a big deal. Mm-hmm. Look, plenty to get into over the weekend. The Dragons. Yeah. Canberra on Friday night. The Storm continuing their streak on round one.
Very impressive.
Give us your thoughts, Oscar. What was your biggest takeaway or your biggest overreaction even from opening round?
Yeah, look, this probably flows into our unpopular opinions kind of segment as well. But Wayde Egan, is he the best or / the most influential hooker in the NRL?
Oof.
Over to you, boys.
That's a big call.
I'll put that out there without context first.
Yeah.
What do you guys think on face value?
Oh, I've got to go no straight away. Yeah, I don't think so. That's a huge call. I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that either. I've also got to say no as well. But you've obviously
Harry Grant, you guys would lean towards?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, especially after round one.
Yeah. Divulge for us. Come on.
Yeah, look, I just think probably most influential might be the word I'm looking for there, but he is so important to that Warriors attack. The little subtleties of dummy half play, it's a dark art in rugby league. Cameron Smith made an entire career out of not being the fastest or the strongest or the quickest bloke, but he was able to manipulate markers, get the A defender to shuffle in half an inch towards the ruck or move the B defender this way or that way. Yep. The timing of the pass. Is he passing off his right foot, off his left foot? Is he turning his hips this way or that way? All these tiny little things. The better hookers in the game do it. Harry's got it for sure. Api Coruscant is another one. Wayde Egan for me, as soon as he left the field last weekend, the Warriors' attack just disappeared.
Yep.
What he does to get Sean Johnson or Tohu Harris over the advantage line, I think it's so important to the Warriors' attack. I'm really keen on the Wars this year. I picked them as a value premiership threat, and I think that if they're going to do anything, Wade's got to be on the field for 20-plus games this year.
We've sort of, maybe you've been reading my notes, I don't know, because I was keen to talk Wars straight off the bat here. Yep. Probably the most, well, maybe one of the most disappointing teams from round one. Yeah. I think they were the team that looked the most out of their groove. And they have been a team that's sort of hard to feel good about when there's expectations around them.
Yeah, in the past.
But to me, I think that's a good loss for them.
Yeah.
It takes some of that pressure off because if they win that game, I think most people are penciling them in for a top 8 spot and then the expectations grow even higher.
Particularly after the way they started that game.
Yeah.
Their first 15 minutes was the best 15 minutes of rugby league over round one, without a doubt. They moved the ball so well. They raced out to a 12-point lead. And then they earned a couple of repeat sets that they didn't get the ball back from with those short dropouts, which we're going to talk a lot about this year.
Yep.
Credit to Cronulla, they muscled up and worked their way back into the game. But yeah, I think that's a fair shout. The expectations would have been very high after the way they started that game.
I think like Cronulla would have gone in at halftime going, geez, at least we're still in this. Because
100%.
the Warriors had, I've looked at the stats, 70% of possession in the opening 20 minutes. Completed 13 of 14 sets. Heaps of good field position. It was just the discipline, the errors, missed tackles that really got in the way. And I'm keen to hear what you boys think about RTS, whether or not he stays in the centres with Chance Nickel-Klokstad still under a bit of an injury cloud. But I think there's a lot of positive signs there for the Warriors.
There's heaps of positives, and I think they'll grow into the year as they go on as well, and they'll figure out the nuts and bolts of obviously a few new combinations that they have here and there. I think RTS is where he is. He's so damaging, like attacking wise and defensively. Like obviously he's only just come back into the game, so he's got to have to get used to being back into rugby league again, which usually it's like riding a bike, but when you've gone and played that other sport. It's defensively is not a huge part of what they do a lot. So I think, he'll have to just get back into that. And I think no worries about the Wars at all. I want to lean a bit more towards a side who probably no one's really talking about. And no one's going to talk too much about throughout the year because they're probably going to fly pretty well under the radar, and that's Penrith. The fact that they didn't, I know, here I go again, right? But I want to get people talking. I think they are at wit's end with where their attack is at the moment, because putting no points round one against a Melbourne Storm side that still didn't have their full squad in. If they keep going like that, I'll say this: they threw the ball around really well second phase wise, but geez, there was times there where they just didn't look like they were connecting, and maybe that's because putting Taylor May, in that position where Stephen Crichton's gone with those one-on-ones with Taylor May, finishing that he does, but yeah, I think if. I know there's overreactions, and these are our opinions, but I was actually a little bit worried after watching that game by them.
Worried in the sense that they're not going to be top four?
No, not worried that they're not going to be top four. Worried that they've gone over to Super League and played a pretty intense game. I thought they might have figured that out by then of, attacking wise of where they were going to be. And for Melbourne to keep them to 0, I'm not sure if it's saying more about Melbourne or more about Penrith.
Yeah, a little bit of both. I think there's caveats to both the losses Penrith have had to start the year.
Yep.
The World Cup Challenge was a farce. I think that's a popular opinion that we can all agree on here. And then credit to Melbourne. They were superb. Their defensive efforts in round one. They deserved that 8-0 win. In saying that, I thought Penrith's attack struggled without Mitch Kenny at dummy half.
Okay.
He doesn't do the things that Wayde Egan does or that Api Coruscant does that we talked about before, but he picks the right options.
Yep.
You look at the try Cleary, the match winner Cleary scored last year. It was Mitch Kenny that sent Reece Walsh and Jordan Ricky the wrong way. So I think they had Luke Summerton and Sonny Luke shed some minutes in at 9 in round one.
Yeah, Sonny Luke didn't look comfortable at all.
It's not the answer, is it? They need a dummy half that's just happy to give the ball to Cleary when he wants it, and when Cleary doesn't want it, they just need someone who can bring those forwards onto the ball.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't jumping the right way at times, and he wasn't making the right decision, passing it when he needed to.
Or running when he should.
He was actually just looked rattled at times. He looked really, and probably kudos to Melbourne for giving great line speed as well and putting pressure on him. But I thought just a little bit there, there might have been a worry for Penrith and where they're going to go with that. I know they'll fix it.
They started slow last year in attack, and maybe even the year before as well.
I think they only scored 6 points against the Broncos last year, round one as well.
Yeah, it was 10-6 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think Melbourne was the only team to hold them scoreless last year as well.
It was, they were.
I could be wrong on that, but I thought Melbourne did
Might have been 22 actually. I think it was the last time they were held to 0 was 2022
I
against
stand
Melbourne.
corrected. I thought Melbourne did a good job of disrupting Cleary for most of that game. What do you guys think though about Penrith in the wet? Because there's been a lot of talk about they can't play when it rains, and it wasn't like it was a heavy track
it was very dewy
in Melbourne, but it was slippery.
Apparently it was like really humid and dewy.
Yeah.
So from both sides of the field, you could tell that, and by the scoreline, you could tell that they really struggled there. Yeah, look, they can't play their expansive footy when it's slippery, and that's in favour to teams who can defend, like Melbourne. And it looks like they've got a rocket Melbourne over the preseason defensively of how they're going to set up again this year, because they were leaking so many points last year. It didn't look like they were the normal Melbourne Storm. Obviously, having Cameron Munster out as well, you'd think you'd lose a bit of direction there and defensively, but I thought they picked it up very well. But there might be something in that they when Penrith can't throw the ball around as much, or hold on to it as much, they tuck it in and just go for the quick play of the ball and they go again. Yeah,
it's a weird one. Like, on paper, you would think that wet weather footy translates perfectly to Penrith's playing style. They're not an expansive, high risk style attacking team. They will happily force dropout after force dropouts, camp up on the opposition's line, wait for them to make an error, which should happen more often in the wet, and then they just win with possession and field position. So it's an interesting. I don't know if I'm ready to say the wet weather footy doesn't suit Penrith yet, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Or are we seeing the turn of Penrith?
You want to be the first. You want to be the first to predict it, don't you?
Hot takes every
I just want other people's opinions, and I want to know what they think as well.
Let us know in the comments. I'm sure you will, punters.
Absolutely. I'm keen to get your opinion, though, Jharal, on an unpopular opinion that you had on our first show a couple of weeks ago. Let's talk St George, who were thoroughly dominant particularly in the second half against the Titans on Saturday. There's a lot to like about the Saints at the moment. Give us your general take on how you feel about the Dragons making the top 8.
They looked free. They looked free to play footy in attack. And defensively, they were so much better.
Yep.
Look, I know both of these sides have got new coaches. They've got new ways they want to play, and that's fine. But I think for the Dragons, when we talk about them, to turn around what they've had, a lot of turmoil over the preseason. Obviously Shane Plant, he's had to come in and shake everything up, including one Zach Lomax put him on the wing. So there's a lot of people there who are not enjoying what they're doing. Are not happy exactly in their positions they're in. But I think once you start stringing some wins together like they did last week, I think you're going to be like, well, this is the recipe for it. And that's the reason why I made that opinion last week, is I think they're...
So it wasn't just clickbait?
No clickbait. No clickbait. No, I think they're in for a big year. And I think, like Oscar said, it's going to be tight. It's going to be a very tight top 8. And I think that 10 to 12 or 13 is also going to be super, super tight. So any team can have it. And it'll come down to, for and against. It'll come down to, because we've seen in the last couple of years, they're getting tighter in those areas. So... And I just think they slip. I just honestly think they slip in the 8. I honestly do. And people who pizzled me last week and go, who's going to miss out though? I actually don't know. I actually am not sure. We gave her 8, but I still don't know who's going to miss out for them to be in there. But I just feel like they're going to slip in there.
He's keeping receipts, ladies and gentlemen.
I have got receipts,
prepared.
Don't worry.
I think that probably the most encouraging thing for Dragons fans was that they went on with it after half-time, because the Titans had opportunities in that first half, very one-dimensional in the way they attacked. Oscar, you're a film nerd, as I always say. So what did you like about St George?
I really liked what I saw from St George in round 1. We'll hear all the rhetoric. It's only, it's only round 1. It was only a poor Titans side. Sure, there's merit to those points, but you can only play what's in front of you. Jharal, to your point, you said they looked free. I thought they looked purposeful. Which is something that we haven't seen from St George for years and years now, is looking at them with the ball and going, oh, we can see what they're trying to do.
Where they're getting to, why they're getting to there.
So I think I just liked how confident they all looked within their roles. Kyle Flanagan was drifting across field. He had the same... They scored 3 or 4 tries with the same setup shape. Flanagan sweeping from the left to the right-hand side of the ruck, fakes to drop one underneath, dummies to a lead runner, and then he's got Hunt sweeping out the back. One of those he dummied and went through himself, and then the other 3 he passed Hunt into a position to have 3 or 4 try involvements. They hit their back rowers hard. Tyrell Sloan was supporting, and their back 5 is just consistently putting them in good field position.
A lot of variation there, what you're speaking about, what you did on Rugby League Riders as well. Watching those clips are, beautiful. If you haven't, go check them out. You break them down really well. And I think they're only going to get better, and we talk about, I feel like sometimes you go, oh, well, it's only round 1. But when we're talking about someone like Penrith who go,
Sure.
oh, well, it's only round one as well. So you've got to understand that they have a purpose. You're right, and they're playing to that, and I think they're going to be better for it this year.
I guess the most interesting thing for the Dragons will be when they have a couple of losses in a row, do they bounce back, or does the past sort of seep in and give them those bad memories again? They got a couple of big games coming up. Dolphins on Sunday at Redcliffe, and then the Cowboys the following week in Sydney. So lots to like. I guess you can't get too carried away. But as you just touched on, Jharal, you boys over at Rugby League Riders did a great breakdown on the Dragons' attack over the weekend.
But also going away from your home ground in round one, both new coaches, you don't know which way it's going to go. They get an opportunity now to go 2 Queensland teams and do them both in back-to-back weeks. And the Dolphins aren't looking that flash hot they've already made several changes. Wayne doesn't muck around. You can tell that. Made several changes. He does not care. He wants to get the right people in the right spots, and you get given an opportunity, but he can take it away just as fast. I think the Dragons will capitalise on that. I really, really do.
And they've got to beat these kinds of teams to climb up the ladder.
Yep.
Teams like the Titans and the Dolphins, who we predict will be around the same spot as the Dragons. If they are to start climbing up, these are the teams they need to beat. So I like the Drags this week.
Plenty of value heading into Sunday's game against the Dolphins too. You're getting around about $1.85 for the Dragons head-to-head. Speaking of some betting though, it is time to get into the offload.
All the betting trends from around the comp. This is the Offload.
Well, this is usually the part of the show where Fogs teaches us how to earn and learn. But since he's on vacation, I'm back to fill his absence, and this is where it all began for me. This is my OG segment.
Stop it.
Oscar, before we get into it, you've written another cracking story over on the Neds blog that will be up once this goes to air. You spent some time looking back over the film, and it seems like there have been a few key changes in the way certain teams attacked in round one.
Yes, I had the notepad, the pen and paper was going like crazy over the weekend. Yeah, just 4 new looks from 4 clubs. Just something different that I noticed from how they were trying to use the ball. We just talked about the Dragons. That was one of them, using Kyle Flanagan to drift across field, playing to their back rowers, and Ben Hunt being in that last pass position. So, yeah, really liked what I saw from the Dragons. They were allowed to run away with it against the Titans, like we just said, but we'll see what they can do against tougher opposition in the coming weeks. For the South Sydney Rabbitohs, we know their left edge has been the best in the comp for, arguably the best in the comp for the last decade. Alex Johnson is usually the beneficiary of that left edge because Cody Walker and Latrell like to play at the back of shape so much. But I'm noticing just a few actions from round one with Keon Koloamatangi moving over to that left back row position and Jack Whiten coming in next week. They've got Richie Kenner in there at the moment, who's another big body. I think that's why they've chosen to replace Whiten with him. But yeah, the lead up to Kenner's first try where Cookie put him over close to the line was something I haven't really seen from the Bunnies before. They started on the right post. Cookie jumped out from the ruck, used a little bit of deception to get to Tola one-on-one. He got a quick play of the ball, and then usually that's where we'd see Murray or Ilias in at first receiver on the left edge, throw into Cody, who's sweeping out the back. Instead, it was just Cody at first receiver, and he had Keon Koloamatangi and Richie Kenner running a double lead line outside him. So Kenner's running at the outside shoulder of the defending centre, and Keon's running at the inside shoulder. I haven't seen that shape from Souths in Clubland for years. It's not a shape that they run because we don't have a strike back rower and we don't have a strike left centre. That's something that's changed with those two guys in that position. So Cody hit short, Keon gets a quick play of the ball, Cookie goes left again short, and it's just crash, crash, crash rolling across the field for Kenner to score.
Yep.
That's a new look from the Bunnies. So, yeah, interested to see if that was eyes up footy or is that something they've planned over the summer.
Is it something that's going to stick, do you think?
I think more so with Whiten back into the side, yeah.
Yep.
Like you got two big bodies who can run good, genuine lines, particularly if Trell's sweeping out the back. It's just a lot of questions asked of the defence. So, yeah, I think we'll see more of that crash play from South this year.
You're using the word we there.
Yeah, we.
You'll be there.
Glory, baby.
You'll be there.
I love that.
I can't help it. I'm
I
sorry.
love that. No, I love that. I love that. Even watching Arsenal this morning, I keep saying we.
Yeah.
It's hard. We've got to do this.
We've got to win this. We can't lose this. And I keep. I've got to correct myself sometimes.
You'll be there on Thursday night. You give the Bunnies a chance?
I will be there on Thursday night. Ask me next week. Could be a long night for the Rabbitohs.
Doesn't give it a chance.
The Bunnies are playing the Broncos on Thursday night. Another team that you've touched on in this article. You had your sights set on Selwyn Cobbo in the centres, and it sounds like punters might want to take a look at the bloke wearing number 1 when it comes to anytime try scorers in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, the way Reece Walsh scored that try in Las Vegas, backing up on the inside, it looked like eyes up footy. Reece plays a lot of his best attacking rugby league down short sides. Billy Walters holding up the markers. Again, that's the importance of just that little step or two out from behind the ruck from the dummy half. Got Reece over the advantage line, and then they went Reece Walsh to Ezra to Selwyn to Jesse Arthurs. Quick hands. Pass. That's not an action that the Broncos played with Herbie Farnworth in the centres last year. Herbie's one of the best runners of the ball in the comp. Doesn't really have those soft hands like Selwyn does. So I think that's an action that the Broncos would have practiced for over the summer. It's why I was really keen on Brains to have a returning breakout year outside Cobbo on the left wing, but it's Jesse Arthurs there at the moment. Yeah, so I like the winger or Walsh backing up on the inside.
Yeah, there's going to be obviously some teething problems with, having, Selwyn in there. But we've got to, defensively. But we've got to remember he played all his juniors as a fullback, and he was very, very classy. Yep. But you're not going to beat Reece Walsh to the fullback position. So where else can you put him? Where you said, in the centres.
Huge game on Thursday night for two teams that will potentially be starting 0-2, depending on who loses. And that's going to be a tough hole to dig out of. As you touched on before, Jharal, you can find all of Oscar's great work on rugbyleaguewriters.com. I don't think anyone else breaks down the game better than you guys.
Thank you, mate.
Carrying on with a bit of betting, we had a mad multi get up last weekend. One punter has turned $20 into over 21K.
Yes.
Nice little win. He's backed the Raiders 13+, the Sharkies to win, Storm to win, Para to win, Dragons 13+, and the Cows to win.
Wow, he's gone...
Well done.
Yeah.
It's gone ham.
Raiders 13+ as well.
All right, jeez.
Oscar, you always give us a few juicy little anytime try scorers in the Crash Play segment.
Yeah.
You are locking in on Katoni Staggs anytime.
I am.
Best bet this week.
So we got bloody unlucky last week. Dallin had 3 chances that he came very close to, and Warbrick was about the same. Anyway, back to the dartboard. Katoni Staggs playing at right centre for the Bronx on Thursday night. Richie Kenner at left centre was embarrassed a few times by Ruben Garrick last week. He's just an older guy. He's not as mobile laterally. Yep. I am scared of what Katoni might be able to do to Richie with a bit of space if Renault can get him the ball. So I think for $2.70, I think we're getting.
Stop it.
I think that's great value for Katoni to score this week.
Next, you are looking at Zach Lomax, I believe.
Yeah, I'm going to split it halfway down the middle. One stake on Zach Lomax. Half a stake on Zach Lomax and half a stake on Jack Bird in the Dragons game, so the last game of the round as well. Talked a lot about St. George's attack, so I won't repeat myself here other than to say they look like they want to go right all the time in good ball. Luciano Leilua is on the bench this week. Presumably he's their right edge back rower as well. That's another whole range of options. I just think the way that they're trying to use the ball in attack, it's going to be Jack Bird or Zach Lomax scoring. So we get a really good price for those two as well. $2.45 for Zach and $3.70 for Jack Bird.
Very, very strong. I think you were keen on Jack Bird in Ned's open group last weekend.
And he came within a bee's dick twice. Yes.
You can find all of Oscar's best bets on Ned's open groups. Get around in punters. We will be back with Storytime with Jharal.
Strap yourself in. It's Storytime with Jharal.
Quickly become the most popular segment on the show, Storytime with Jharal. Jharal, first game last week with West Arana, and you won pretty convincingly.
Yeah, it was. It was a good game. We only played 320s. Usually we're going to play 70-minute games, but we were able to put away Albany Creek 38-0 in that time, and RIP to them. I tell you what, it was very different coaching an open side to being a part of some professional sides, but a little bit sloppy here and there, some things to fix up. But to keep them the nil was something that we wanted about halfway through the game. I said, look, don't really need to score any more points. Let's just keep them a nil. And we done that, and we hadn't worked on much defence throughout the year as well, pre-season. So, which is really, really
clearly it worked.
Yeah, which is really, really nice. Look, we've done some tight stuff here and there, but yeah, nothing to the extent of trying to keep a team to nil. So we did a pretty good job.
What was the pre-game pep talk?
Yeah, not too much. A lot of music in the sheds. Like when you play at that grade, It's all about having fun, right? So, now everyone can jump on their phones with like this new iTunes stuff.
Yeah.
And everyone can
New iTunes.
Not an app.
Sorry, not new iTunes. Not new iTunes. But everyone can jump on like the Apple Music or whatever, and you can jump on and share, and you can pick songs. Everyone can pick songs. So it was nice to be able to do that before the game. And preparation was really well. Like I don't really mind what happens during the week, but game day I'm pretty solid on our preparation during the game day. So there's all things that are done to the right time set, and there was a bit of an eye opener for a lot of the boys. Running on schedule.
Your pre-game briefing,
running on schedule and stuff like that. I just like to be like that. So it worked, and we'll go on.
When's the last time you coached?
The last time I coached was like in 2021 with West Mitchie. Our rival. So I was assistant coach there.
Okay.
So I've taken a fair few boys from there, which I'm not happy about. But when the Panther Cup gets done between us two, it'll be very, very nice to see again.
So who got the Dally M votes?
No, we don't. Look, we didn't give any votes out this week, and we didn't do the team song, which I don't even know what it is yet. So I said to the boys, look, tradition-wise, we do team songs when we win during the season,
regular season,
and we don't give any best players out until we call it BOG, best on ground, at our club. So best on ground, there was none given out.
Sounds like you're running a pretty tight ship over there.
Trying our best.
Jharal, I don't know what the story actually is this week, so you can lead off from here, mate.
Yeah, I don't. Look, I've got a couple of volumes of me being away with other, rugby league sides when I haven't played for them. So, for instance, I've got friends who play in other sides, and there's times where I've tagged along to a lot of things. And one of them was actually, Ben Hunt's 300 last year.
Oh, yes.
Didn't really get to talk too much about this because it was, we sort of just left. We left it. But I tagged along with me good little red-headed mate Jack Reed, and we went up to Townsville just for a little stint to go up there. They ended up getting done, the Dragons, and it's probably on brand at the moment. They were talking about how good they're going, and at the time they weren't. And I'm happy to talk about this now, but the boys were really not. I don't know. After the game, they weren't too keen. Yeah, they weren't too pumped up. Ben was fine. So I've just given a little bit of a whisper to Hook and just said, look, if you just are okay with this, we're just going to feed these I'm just going to spray them throughout the night. So Hook's I think he knew he was at the end of his tether.
He was done.
I think he knew. I think Chuck knew. So he had washed his hands, and he just let me and the red man go hell for leather. So we were picking people apart. I reckon I was, 2 beers deep, 8 beers deep, 12 beers.
You were chirping in the WhatsApp.
I was very chirpy. Throwing cans to what's the Sully.
Yeah,
and, you were basically stone cold on the night.
Yeah. I was throwing beers, and I was like, "Oh, don't let him drop that one," for instance, because he was having a shocker that night. And we just went around the room just picking the boys apart. They didn't really take too well to it. A lot of at the time, the Dragons boys. But look at them now. What I'm trying to say is,
I'm responsible for their success.
I am so responsible for what's happened. All right, when Hook left, he didn't really give them the spray that they needed. So you're fucking welcome, Dragons. You're fucking welcome.
Very good, Jharal. We're going to come back with a new segment, Fogs' Fast Five, with a bit of a twist.
Ooh.
He's off in Melbourne this week. He's the great man, Liam Fogarty. So I've renamed this section, fellas, to Ryan's Relaxed Five.
Oh, yes. Nice. Sometimes going too fast is not the best way.
A bit more yang energy
especially
in the show,
Yeah, I'm with my wife. Sorry, Dom.
Look, boys, we have a lot of laughs on this show.
Yeah,
but,
we do.
We need to get serious for a moment, okay?
Okay.
Tell us why.
We need to talk some politics.
Oh, okay? No, I don't even know who the politics are.
I don't even know how to spell the word politics.
We've got our ears to the ground here on Unpopular Opinions, and for once, we're not talking about aquariums or what Fogs likes to have for breakfast.
Yep.
If you live in Queensland like we all do, we've got an election coming up, a council election this weekend.
Yeah.
We
got to vote. Crap, I've got to vote. Oh, yeah, I've got to vote.
It's hard to avoid the signs that are littering our streets right now. And then in October, we have the state election. So, look, I've taken the liberty of comparing 5 NRL teams to political parties.
This is exactly what I need.
This is all time.
Well done, Ryan.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with number 5, and that is the Sydney Roosters. I've compared them to One Nation. Look, open to interpretation, of course, but it's all just for fun. Right?
Oh, stop it.
Number 4, we're going to go with the Dolphins.
Yep.
Dolphins are a bit like the Greens Party, I think. Very trendy at the moment.
Yeah.
Only had a few small victories so far, but they're on the rise and they're gaining a bit of popularity. West Tigers, number 3.
Oh, jeez.
The Liberal Party.
It's going to hurt a few people.
Magpies and Balmain Tigers, best years were in the 50s and 60s.
Sure.
Very similar.
Yep.
Manly Sea Eagles. Where do you think I'm going with this one? Bob Catter's Australian Party. Similar colours, red, and they both stand for good Christian values. And last but not least,
Jared Tim's just listening to this. Amen. Yeah.
Last but not least,
Something, I can tell you that.
number 1, the Melbourne Storm. This party isn't actually around anymore, but the Sex Party. Because you can't tell me that Cameron Munster pulled his groin slipping over in the shower.
No, he did not. I mean, what? I like it. The relaxed 5.
The relaxed 5.
Beautiful.
Boys were 0 for 2 to start the year on the multi. We've had a couple of cracks. To go back over last week, Oscar, you got us off to a cracking start, mate.
Didn't I?
Back in the nights
That's
at a very
okay.
short price, head to head.
45% of the ball, 68% completion rate. See you later.
Stats. He had to bring the stats in.
He did.
We just want you to get it right.
Just do your job.
I don't care about stats, just want green ticks.
I didn't go much better. I backed the Wars, the cover versus Cronulla, which was very touch and go in that second half. Jharal, you were the only one to get one up. Parramatta head-to-head versus the Dogs.
Sorry. Well, it made me feel sick doing that.
Great bet.
Great bet.
And Fogs brought us home with the Finns to cover versus the Cowboys, which didn't get up. So, look, let's just recap the records so far, shall we? JYY, you're 1 for 1.
Are we keeping?
We're keeping records. We got to keep accountability is key this year.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. All right.
Jharal, you are 1 and 1 so far. Same for you, Oscar. Me and Fogs, who do this for a living, really need to lift because we're both 0 and 2.
Gotcha.
Okay, so this week, JYY, you can lead us off, mate.
Yeah, I've gone late in the weekend. I've gone the last game of the round, and I'm sticking with my favourites. The boys I sprayed, the Dragons. I've gone head to head with them. They're $1.85.
Yeah, good price.
I think it's a good price. I had a look at that last night, but then I had a look at this morning. It stayed the same. So I mean, it's a really good price. I think they're on a roll. I think they'll come and do the double on the Queensland side. It's $1.85.
Bank it.
Like it a lot. Oscar, who have you got?
We talked about Penrith at the top of the show. Jharal, you're worried about their attack?
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it, mate.
Okay.
I think their defensive efforts...
Who are they playing? Sorry, yeah. So they're going to be fine.
That Parramatta. I think the Panthers have got the defence to worry Parramatta in this one. I'm not convinced about the points the Eels put on the Dogs last week. I think that should have been... Yeah, I think they left a few out there. So minus 3.5 alternate line for Penrith. I like the value there.
Nice and safe. I have gone the under between the Tigers and Raiders, under 44.5 points. Tigers off a bit of a break. That could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you want to look at it. Raiders were a little bit tough to watch at home last year, and the Tigers only won one game on the road. I think this game's just going to be close and potentially low scoring. So I'm going under there.
Yeah, don't mind it.
What happened to our other friend? Does he get one?
He's in here, yeah.
Oh, he does?
So
Okay.
Fogs has gone the Storm alternate line minus 2.5 versus the Wars.
That game worries me. Like a lot.
Same.
It makes me
We can
very
talk shit about it because he's not here.
But it does. It makes me very nervous, that game.
Yeah.
Only because they've gone hard last week. They've had to defend their ass off.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Warriors love that. Travelling doesn't bother them. They've been doing it for years. And I feel like they're going to be a lot fresher than what Melbourne were. So, and still no Cameron Munster. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried. Where's my pen?
We'll see how you go, Fogs.
Fox should have just stuck with his Broncos.
Yeah, Broncos to cover.
Honestly.
Oh, gosh.
So just to recap, JYY, you've gone the Dragons head-to-head versus the Dolphins. Oscar, you like the alternate line, Penrith minus 3.5 versus Parramatta. I've gone the under between the Tigers and the Raiders, and Fogs has gone the alternate line, Storm minus 2.5 versus the Wars. If you bag that all up, you're getting $9.23. So pretty good value.
I'm not saying the line this
don't
week
say
either.
the line.
No. Let's just get one out of the way, and then and then Big JYY can come in.
Boys, end of the show. What are we all looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to seeing Tallis Duncan make his positional debut, replacing Jai Arrow on the Bunnies' right edge this week. Really unfortunate for Jai. He had a horrible year of injuries last year and could be out anywhere from 4 weeks to the season, we're being told. Tallis is a very small body. He's definitely more of a middle than an edge. I won't be surprised if Cam Murray spends a bit of time defending out on the edge while Tallis goes into the middle. But yeah, really excited by his future, see how he goes stepping up to NRL level.
Jharal?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Storm and the Wars game. There's always a little bit of beef between these two sides when they come together. We know how good this clash is. Whether it is in Mount Smart, whether it is in Amy Park, it does not matter where it is. And it's at a good time too, because I'm a dad. 6:30 p.m. Saturday.
How good early starts.
Oh, I'm frothing at the bit to watch
Rugby
this
league
one.
does that well.
Oh, they do. I don't want daylight savings here. Just leave it alone, all right? Just let us have what we have. That's the game I'm looking forward to. I think it's going to be a huge one over the weekend, and I think it'll be a one to watch.
We've got to name the episode.
Oh, what are we naming?
Throw them in. What do we got?
Oh, yes. What do we?
Fog's day off.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
probably gonna be something like that.
Yeah. He'll love that.
Yeah.
He's not here.
He loves the clout, loves the ego boost. All right, boys. Thank you, Oscar. Thank you, Jharal.
Thanks, mates.
Punters, thank you for listening. Check out all our bets on the
See you
Neds
in open
app.
groups.
Absolutely, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening to Ned's NRL Unpopular Opinions. Enjoyed the podcast? Remember to like, subscribe, and rate the show wherever you get your podcasts.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.